audience attending Shakespeare's plays from 1603 until 1613 has been called the wisest fool in Christendom. As king, he regarded himself as a mortal god, and fancied he was the new King Solomon. He is perhaps the only monarch of Britain who was an intellectual of sorts, and he wrote a few mediocre books. His clashes with Parliament over revenues foreshadowed the disaster of his son and successor Charles I, beheaded for high treason in January 1649. When Lear speaks of the great image of authority, his bitterness bursts forth. "A dog's obeyed in office." Yet Kent, the loyal follower whom he has exiled, and who disguises himself so as to go on serving Lear, seeks and finds authority in the great king. Lear. "What art thou?" Kent. "A very honest-hearted fellow, and as poor as the king." Lear. "If thou be'st as poor for a subject as he's for a king, thou art poor enough. What wouldst thou—" Kent. "Service." Lear. "Who wouldst thou serve?" Kent. "You." Lear. "Dost thou know me, fellow?" Kent. "No, sir, but you have that in your countenance which I would fain call master." Lear. "What's that?" Kent. "Authority." Act 1, Scene 4, lines 19 to 30. The ultimate authority in the tragedy of King Lear ought to be the gods, but they seem to be uncaring or equivocal. Edmund the Bastard invokes nature as his goddess and urges her to stand up for bastards. What Edmund means by nature is antithetical to what Lear regards as the distinction between natural and unnatural. Goneril and Regan, in their father's judgment, are unnatural hags. They see their behaviour as natural, as does Edmund. Nothing is a term prevalent in this tragedy. There are 34 uses of nothing, and 42 of nature, natural, unnatural. The relationship between nothing and nature is a vexed one throughout Shakespeare, and is particularly anguished in the tragedy of King Lear. In the Christian argument, God creates nature out of nothingness. The end of nature, according to the revelation of St. John the Apostle, comes in a return to a restored Eden. "And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and of the Lamb. In the midst of the street of it, and of either side of the river, was the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and gave fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree served to heal the nations with." Geneva Bible, Revelation chapter 22, verses 1 and 2. That healing abundance is alien to Lear's tragedy. As the drama closes, Albany, Kent, and Edgar discover that Lear's prophecy has been fulfilled. Nothing has come of nothing. There is no revelation. Nature again drifts back to chaos. Authority, as a concept, is neither Hebrew nor Greek. It is Roman. Hannah Arendt defined authority as an augmentation of the foundations. When Julius Caesar usurped all authority, he did it in the name of returning to the founders of Rome. Though an expedient fiction, all subsequent authority, whether secular or spiritual, is Caesarian, and extends that seminal usurpation of power. No one has worked out the intricate relationship between authority and what we have learned to call personality. The European Renaissance of Michel Yquem de Montaigne, 1533 to 1592, Miguel de Cervantes Saavedra, 1547 to 1616, and William Shakespeare, 1564 to 1616, can be said to have inaugurated our sense of personality. Montaigne invents and studies his own personality. Cervantes independently creates the idiosyncratic Don Quixote and the surprisingly witty and sane Sancho Panza, and Shakespeare peoples his heterocosm with myriad people, each with her or his own personality. Montaigne, sceptical of all prior authority, massively portrays himself with the freedom of a man who begins anew with a tabula rasa of speculation. Cervantes mocks his forerunners and asserts his personal glory that he shares with Don Quixote. Shakespeare, always hidden behind his work, allows the giant personalities of his plays to act and